And that's how I met JP. We met at a Peak Potential event, and he's been one of my business clients for about 6 months or so. So you're going to get to see the effect of working with me on that. I am so happy to introduce him. You know, we've come a long way together, and he's got a lot of information to pass along to you. And I know one of the things we hear all of the time from people is how to get more paying clients and how to get your business moving, maybe a startup business or into the next level if you've been in business for a while. You need to energize your business, and JP is the #1 business energizer. So I'm excited for you to hear what he has to say. He asked you politely to turn off your cell phone.
Semi-politely.
You'll be so polite next time.
You know, if you want to get another helping of food, I invite you to do that now because I don't want you to miss anything he has to say by getting up and moving around. His presentation will be about 45 minutes. Bathrooms are around the hall. I think some of you know that, to the left. And so let me just tell you a little bit about JP. He worked in corporate America for many, many years and decided to strike out on his own. He did several attempts at owning his own business. Some of them were not as successful as the last attempt that he had in 2008, and he started up a successful web startup company, and after having it for a few years, he and his partner sold it for a multi-million-dollar price tag. So he knows what he's talking about generating paying customers, and so I'm really excited that he's here to share that with you. He's also written a book called The Web Startup Roadmap, Navigate Your Way to Successful Online Business. And part of what he's going to share today comes out of that. And a lot of it came out of his own personal experience, which he's going to tell you his story in a second. He's got some notoriety. He's been on Extra TV. Anybody know about Extra TV? Extra, yeah. Right. He's been on the Business Rock Stars. He's been on the Michael Dresser Show. He's connected with people like Bob Berg and people like that who are big players on the stage today. So he's also got a cousin that's on the TV show Modern Family. So he's got connections with Yahoo and some big people. So he knows what he's doing, and he is doing all right for a young kid who grew up on a Kansas farm. So let me introduce you to JP Stonestreet, the new business insider.
You know, I don't think I wrote a word of that on my introduction, but thank you. I'm going to add a lot of that. We're going to start by watching a video.
Do we need to turn the lights down?
More than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
I bet I've seen that 24 times, and every time I get the chills at the end, don't you? Did everybody else get chills?
Yeah.
Why did I start this presentation on energizing your business with a video about failure? Who's failed? Raise your hand if you've ever failed. Did you learn anything from it?
Yes.
I actually learned a lot more from my failures, and my book that I wrote is basically, it's a biography of all my failures that led up to the successful sale of my company. Our goal as entrepreneurs is not to fear failure or try to avoid it, it's to embrace it and fail fast, fail often, and fail forward. And that's what I encourage people to do. Just, you gotta try things. You can't try to avoid the failure. That is not the way to success. I'm JP Stonestreet. I am a failure expert. Tried and true. Starting in the mid-90s, I launched several different companies, both online and offline. They all failed for various different reasons I talk about in my book. I learned lots of lessons from each, and I'd like to think that I didn't repeat any of the failures. So from each one, I didn't fail for the same reason at all of the times that I attempted. So in 2001, my family moved here from, I lived in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years, working in the dot-com bubble back east. And we moved here, and that's when I really took the entrepreneurial thing full force. I went full-time entrepreneur. I didn't get a job when we moved out here, and I started my own company. And I had a couple more failures once I was out here. And then I started Promoteware, which was a, oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So after I was out here, worked for about 3 years, I didn't make hardly any money. I was making very, very little money. So I gave up and I got a job, J-O-B, 4-letter word in my vocabulary, it still is. I got a job as a software development contractor at a company that's actually just across the highway. It was a 3-month contract. Raise your hand if you think I made it 3 months. What about 3 weeks? You guys are optimistic. 3 days. I made it 3 days. On the third day, lights. Are we sure it's gonna illuminate the globe? On the third day, they showed me the door and told me I was fired, basically. And I didn't get along with the lead developer. The lead developer did not like me because I challenged every decision he made because they were all wrong in my opinion. And so it didn't work out very well. They say that the 3 hardest things in life are losing a loved one, getting divorced, and getting fired. And I have to say of the 3, I've experienced all 3. And of the 3, getting fired was the hardest on my ego. It's been 10 years since that happened, and it still bothers me to this day, even though it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because, on the way home from that 3 days of miserable employment, I was stuck in rush hour traffic down here staring into the sun on 470, and I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to give up on my entrepreneurial dream. No matter what it took, I was going to be successful. And 3 months later, I launched a company called QuoteCatcher.com. This is an online lead generation company. It's like Angie's List. You guys know Angie's List? The same business model, different target market. We generated leads and we sold them to people like you, small business owners who needed more business. We generated leads and sold them. I do the same thing now, a little differently. I actually help you generate your own leads, so you don't have to buy them from companies like the one that I sold, because we sold them for a lot of money. So I don't know. I don't know if the universe was trying to tell me something when that guy didn't like me. Maybe it could have been, because if he hadn't have liked me, then I might not have experienced my multi-million-dollar payout 3 years after I started this company. And I think back on that, and even though I'm still bitter about that, and it still bothers me, if that guy would have liked me even just a little bit, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now. I'd probably be sitting in a cube somewhere writing code. So that's what I mean by sticking with it, embracing failure, and you just got to keep going and persevere through that. After I sold my company, I started mentoring with SCORE. You guys familiar with SCORE? The Service Corps of Retired Executives. They're mostly like 70 and above. I was half the age of all the other mentors. I was also the only one that knew anything about online business. So I was very busy for a few years with them. I taught workshops with them, and I mentored dozens and dozens, probably over 100 people who want to start an online business. Then I wrote my book because all these people start asking the same questions, and after you hear the same questions over and over again, you decide to write a book because you're tired of answering those questions. So I wrote the book, The Web Startup Roadmap, and it's a non-technical guide for non-technical people who want to either start an online business or get more traction out of their existing online business or website. I have a podcast called The Smart Energized Entrepreneurs. I interview successful entrepreneurs like Bob Berg, who wrote The Go-Giver. You guys remember with The Go-Giver? He was one of my interviews. I've interviewed lots of people. I think I'm over 40 now. And everybody from your next door neighbor entrepreneur is just starting out, all the way to people who have sold multiple companies for $20, $30 million payout. So every kind of entrepreneur from start to finish is what I interview on the podcast. I have been interviewed myself on Extra and several different radio stations talking about entrepreneurship and my book specifically. I've met a lot of cool people. It's fun. Has anybody been interviewed on the radio before? Isn't it fun? Sitting in the studio with a mic in your face. I didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I did. And now I'm JP Stone Street, the new business energizer, and I'm also the founder of my brand new company, OnlineLeads.com. Get leads while you sleep. And this company I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. Welcome to the New Business Energizer Seminar. I'm glad you guys all made it. So raise your hand if everybody in here is in business, right? You guys are all in business. Okay, awesome. So you're in the right place. Because this is it's either for people who started a new business or if you just want new business, which I think we all do, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk today about, and feel free to tweet it. So if anybody's a tweeter, Anthony, you're probably. Holly, you better be.
I know.
You can tweet. Use my handle, and then I'll make sure and get the notification. Feel free. I won't yell at anybody for using their phone during my presentation, unless it rings.
Just the ring.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about 5 ways that you can energize your business today, and these are pretty easy ways. This monetize it. What's funny about this is probably the most important one. And when I first put this presentation together, this was number 5. And then I went and had coffee with Susan, and we sat and talked for about 2 hours. And Susan, I don't know if you guys know her. Some of you might not. Jason, I think you know her.
A little bit.
She is bubbling with ideas. She is like an idea generator. And what was funny when we were sitting there for coffee and she was funneling through all of her ideas, both for Social Buzz and for outside Social Buzz, other things. One thing I noticed that she does differently than I do is that she spends about a minute or two, like 1 or 2 sentences, on the idea itself. And then she goes into monetization and how she's going to monetize it, who she's going to charge for it, how much she's going to charge, why they're willing to pay that much, how she can cross-sell it and upsell it and co-brand it. And I'm sitting here at the end of it, I looked at her and I said, Susan, I'm really mad at you. Because she pointed out a flaw in my entrepreneurial strategy that I was able to be successful regardless of this flaw, but I've since changed it and I moved this to number 1 because of that. You got to put monetization first. Here's the way I do it and the way a lot of entrepreneurs do it. We hash the idea forwards and backwards, a million different directions. We figure out why people, what kind of features people want, how they're going to use it, whether or not it's worth spending money on. We think about all of these things. I analyze it 6 ways to Sunday, and then at the end I think, I wonder how I'm going to monetize this. And that is not a good entrepreneurial approach. You got to put monetization first. You got to have the idea, but right after the idea, start thinking about monetization. Because your goal with any business is to make it rain, right? You got to make it rain. If you don't generate revenue, even if you're a nonprofit like Pastor Tate, his other life, you have to generate revenue because you're not going to be able to help very many people and you're not going to be in business very long if you're not generating revenue. And the only way to do that is to think about monetization early and often in your business. Here's a few ways I'm going to talk about how you can monetize your business. So are you guys familiar with the freemium? Yellow plus blue plus green? Freemium. I love this business model. Does anybody use Dropbox? Dropbox? Or play Farmville? Nobody ever admits to that one. Those are examples of freemium business models. You get people in the door for free, and then you upsell them. So Zynga is the maker of Farmville. They also do Mafia Wars and a lot of poker games. They say only 10% of their user base pays a penny to them. 90% just play for free, but that 10% has made them billions of dollars. So if you get people in the door, that's the key. The freemium gets them in the door, and that allows you to continue to market to them. Pricing packages. This is another thing that works great for people who offer services especially, but it will also work for product offerings. By putting things into packages, you quantify what people are going to get and the price that they're going to have to pay for it, so that you remove the confusion of your offering. So pricing packages, I like three. For some reason, we humans think in odd numbers. So 3 is a really good number to have your packages. You can also offer a custom package. Be careful of the cord. I don't want anybody to trip. So packages are a great way. Recurring revenue. That is the holy grail of entrepreneurship. You guys familiar with recurring revenue, right? Where people give you money every month, over and over. It's harder to do in real estate.
It is,
Well,
right.
Yeah, unless you're a property manager.
That's right.
Yeah. QuoteCatcher, when I started PromoteWare was my, it was a modular web development platform that was the precursor to QuoteCatcher. That was the one where I made very little money at. It was a platform that's a lot like WordPress. You guys know WordPress, right? Only it was like 5 years before WordPress, and I was the only one that could develop on it. So I didn't really see the potential of my platform that I built at the time. And I came up from the world where everything is proprietary, where you guard everything and you don't let anybody else play in your sandbox. WordPress is the exact opposite of that. Everybody is welcome to play in the sandbox, and that it worked a lot better than mine did. QuoteCatcher came along because I got tired of selling and hitting the street. Every time I built a website and launched it, I was done with that client. Sometimes I had a little follow-up work, but for the most part, that client was done. I had to go find another client to replace that revenue from that client. QuoteCatcher was a recurring revenue business model. We generated $70 the first month, $700 the second month, and over $3,000 the third month of operations because of recurring revenue. Everybody we added money to the bottom line, so it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Instead of replacing revenue each month, we were augmenting revenue. That is the value of recurring revenue, and anybody can do it. It doesn't matter what business you're in, you can figure out a way to generate recurring revenue through service offerings or packages. If you have a product, you can get people like Organo Gold, you can get people on a monthly subscription, and you deliver it by mail and bill them automatically once a month, and they say, okay, I drink maybe 15, 30 boxes a month because people drink lots of coffee. You just mail it to them, bill their credit card, and you've got your recurring revenue stream, because they'll get it and they'll be like, I didn't really drink it that last month, I'll give some to my neighbor. They aren't going to say I cancel. They just keep ordering and you just keep sending it to them. So you can do that with virtually anything. Like I said, the goal is to make it rain. You got to spend a little energy on the idea and a whole lot of your energy on monetization. So that's the first point. Put monetization first. The second one is you got to plan for success. Raise your hand if you have a business plan. How many people's business plans are more than 2 pages? I'm going to explain why you probably wasted a good chunk of your time.
And money.
And money, if you paid somebody to do it for you. Unless you're going for investors. If you're going for investors, you have to have a full business plan. There's no getting around it. If you're not going for investors, I'm a big proponent of what I call the 2-page business plan, because most business plans are just fiction. I spent 2 weeks writing my business plan for QuoteCatcher. My business partner said I was nuts. He's like, write code, because I was the coder in the business. It's like, write code, forget the business plan. Like, no, we haven't done a business plan before, I'm doing one now. I spent 2 weeks on it, and after we sold the company, it went in the filing cabinet after I wrote it. Within the first 2 weeks, we realized that the entire marketing plan I put together didn't work. It was completely wrong. After a few months, the revenue projections were a joke. I mean, they weren't even close, because we always put like a linear growth curve when we do our business plans. So it's like going straight up. It really goes like this. It's like a heart rate monitor, and sometimes you flatline and you're like, oh my God, what happened? And then it goes way up. It doesn't. You spend so much time generating these financial projections, and it's like you might as well use a crystal ball. You have to put $10 in the pot. You weren't here earlier when we talked about that. So I'm a big fan of what I call a 2-page executive summary business plan. This business plan covers, there's 5 main points to it, and you guys can download a copy if you want, or I can send you one. There's 5 points in it, including marketing and financials, but you can do it all in 2 pages, and it will help guide your business, and you might actually use it in your business. Like I said, we put our business plan in the filing cabinet, and it was good for a really good laugh when we sold the company and we were cleaning out the filing cabinets, because we sat there and looked at it, and it was a complete joke. It did not in any way reflect the real trajectory of our business in terms of marketing or finances or personnel. We had planned on hiring people. We had 15 people at the end when we sold the company. We had, in the business plan, I think I had around 150 people by the end of year 1. It didn't obviously happen. We had 15 people after year 3, and that was all we needed. So, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. I'm not saying you shouldn't plan. We all have to plan because you're just setting yourself up to failure if you're not. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying don't spend so much time on it. The third point to help energize your business is to get help. Successful entrepreneurs do not operate in a vacuum. I had Sandy introduce me. Sandy is my business coach. I have sold a successful company. I know how to run business. I still need a coach. Everybody in here needs a coach because they see the world and your business differently than you do. They can look at it from the outside and rein you in when you're doing things that don't make any sense for your business. So whether it's Sandy, she's awesome. She's great with marketing too. She's really helped me with like crafting my whole marketing message. Whether it's Sandy or someone else, find some sort of coach or mentor or somebody to help you and hold you accountable. Coaches also can introduce you to people. Sandy introduced me to Susan, which is why I'm up here today. Susan got me into this group, and you guys are all great. And it really is a family reunion. We're all related cousins and aunts and uncles. Yeah, so they can also introduce you to lots of people. I told you about my podcast. I've interviewed now over 40 successful entrepreneurs from all stages. 35 of them have coaches. These are successful entrepreneurs. I try not to interview unsuccessful entrepreneurs. Many of them have mentors in addition to their coaches, or some of the 5 that don't have coaches have mentors instead. And then more than half also belong to a mastermind. You guys familiar with the mastermind? Yeah. Masterminds are great. It's a group of people. Sometimes you do the same things. It's not like a leads group, so you can have more than one person that does the same thing. So you can have more than one real estate agent or more than one lawyer in your mastermind, and you all help each other through obstacles in your business. You give each other advice and you support each other. I actually belong to a mastermind too, and it is a lot of support. Don't try and do it all yourself. Peyton Manning has a coach, and you might think, well, Peyton Manning, he's at the top of his game, except for the February 8th, except for one day. You might say, well, why does he need a coach? He doesn't need a coach. He's awesome. Well, you might argue that the reason why he is so awesome is because he's had great coaches throughout his career. And those coaches helped him become awesome, even though he had a lot of natural talent to begin with. The coach can see things that Peyton can't see, standing behind 6'8" offensive linemen. The coach is up in the box, and they can see all of the stuff that's going on in the field, and they radio down and they say, go right on the next play, because they see a hole in the defense. Peyton can't see that. He's not watching video. He's not seeing it from above. A coach can do that, and that's why you should get a business coach or join a mastermind or join my email list. Where did that come from? Okay, I'm going to pass around my sign-up form. I have it's a daily inspirational email that I really, really like. Who belongs to that? Who gets that now?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
I spent weeks, actually, working on this. You get a daily email. It's a quote from somebody that you know, and then my take on it. And some of those are pretty off the wall, don't you think?
No, I think they're good.
They're good, but they're not like when you read a quote and you think something.
Yeah.
My take on it is usually different than what most people is. So I highly recommend signing up for it. I put a lot of energy into it. I get emails every week from people saying, oh my God, I needed to hear this one today. And so sign up for that. You can always unsubscribe. I also have a newsletter that I send out, and you'll get the 7 free or dirt cheap tools I can't live without in my business. It's a free report that I put together, so that will help you in your business. So I'm going to pass this around. You two don't get it because you're both on it.
Yes, we are.
So sign up for that, and if you like to. Tip number 4, use your website. This one might seem obvious. How many people have a website in here? Yeah, almost everybody does. Does your website give you all the leads and all the customers you could ever hope for? No? No? I see a lot of head shaking. Of course not. Your website does not do that. Most websites do not do that. And there's 3 common website mistakes that are pretty easy to fix that will help you get more sales from your website, more paying customers from your website. The first one is an amateur design. when I see a website that looks amateur like this one, it makes me question the credibility of the website and how serious they really take their business. You know, if this is a legitimate business, why didn't they spend $300 to get a decent website built? It's your virtual storefront on the internet. For a lot of people, it's the first thing they see about your business. It's your website. Would you want to shop at this Mulligan Grocery? This grocery store needs a do-over. Mulligan Grocery, it needs a do-over. This is what some websites look like or feel to people. When people go to a website that looks like that, you know, this one isn't as bad as some of them I've seen, but it's still pretty amateur. They get that feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to go in there. And that's what happens when it's a non-professional design. You don't have to have a state-of-the-art website to get people to be comfortable and feel good about your website. It just needs to be clean and professional. And if you're not a professional web designer, hire someone to do it. There are lots of them. I'm not one, so I'm not trying to sell you on my web design services. There are lots of web designers. In fact, it's odd that there's not one in here today. Is there a web designer?
Jason Coote.
He's not here, though.
No, he's not.
Usually when I go to these, there's like 2 or 3 web designers.
You don't want me
JP, what do you think about like GoDaddy and their templates and all that?
Pay somebody to do it.
Really?
If you've got income, if you're just starting out and you have no money, if you have more time than money, you can learn how to build your own website. I recommend using WordPress, buy a theme. Most of them have videos that come, video tutorials. You can set it up pretty easily. But I would say if you've got enough money to go to these events and go out to dinner Friday night, just pay somebody. You can literally get a 3-4 page website done for $200 or $300. Buy a professional, it'll look good. So just pay somebody. Too many options. This is the second mistake people. This is exaggeration, obviously, but this is a real website. This is a real website that somebody has. Giving people too many options confuses them. Your homepage should focus mainly on one thing, your primary service offering. That's what you should pitch on your homepage. The main thing you want to sell and promote to the people who visit your website. The New York Times did a study in a grocery store. They had people sample jams over 2 different Saturdays. The first Saturday they had 24 different flavors. 3% of the people who stopped to taste the jams, bought something. They bought a jar or more. The next Saturday, they had 6 flavors. You think they sold more or less?
More.
How much more?
79%.
No, close. 30%. 10 times more. They sold 10 times more jams by reducing the offering, by reducing the number of options. Too many options confuse people. They go into overload. What is going on? I think my tablet just went into overload. It gives them too many options. They go into overload, and then rather than make a decision, they just don't make a decision, and they walk away. The store on your website, what do? What? Oh, you're a keyboard guy. Were you a DOS programmer? Most people hit the back button with the mouse or the backspace. Yeah, so you give them too many options, you just leave them bewildered. Like, what am I supposed to do? How many people have a slider on their homepage? You know, those slides, those images? Get rid of them. They look cool. As website owners, we love them because they look cool. It's an A/B test on conversions. They kill conversions. You'll get less than a 1% conversion when you have a slider on your homepage because people, I think it lulls people into complacency or something, I don't know, or they get mesmerized by it, or they're like, well, I don't know what, I liked the first slide, but how do I get back there? I don't know how to do that, and they just like back button. People have no patience for anything. So if your goal is to actually get paying customers from your website, get rid of your sliders, no matter how much you love them or how cool they look. No call to action. This is the third biggest mistake that people make that costs sales on their website. You guys know what call to action is, right? This is a marketing website that I found with no call to action. You might say, check out this video as a call to action. I watched the video. It's 4 minutes, over 4 minutes long. It was done by someone else, for someone else. All it is like a constant montage of statistics about social media until it ends with a rolling credits, and that's it. There's no pitch, there's no buy this, there's no sign up for my email list, there's nothing. There's no call to action. Even if I met this Jen woman, her name is Jen, I think, at a networking event, I'd go to her website and be like, well, what am I supposed to do now? You know, I might look around a little bit if I know her. If I don't know her, if I just stumble across this website, I'm leaving. There's nothing there that of any value to me. And this is a marketing website. Unfortunately, marketers aren't always good at what they say they are. If you guys have experienced that, I know I have. So here's how most websites go. And if yours goes this way, don't feel bad, you're not alone. We spend good money to have our website built, expecting it to deliver us paying customers, and what it leaves us thinking is, where's the money? Actually, where's the lead? Where are the leads? Is what it leaves us thinking. You guys remember this? Am I dating myself? Everybody in here is about my age, so you guys don't know. Where's the leads? That's the problem with most websites. And there are two reasons why the leads are missing from your website. The first one is no traffic, which is a whole new problem. A lot of people already have traffic on their website. The goal, once you get the people there, is to convert them, but you have to have people there first. And if your highway is empty, that's one thing you got to focus on, but not before you do. Oh, wait a second, I'm skipping something. Oh, I forgot I added this because I saw the. We went to see Jake Tapp speak. Great presentation. I put this in here just for that. How many people know about American Furniture Warehouse? So if you all know about it, why does he spend millions of dollars every year advertising American Furniture Warehouse?
New customer.
We all know about it.
New
We want
customer.
to stay top of mind.
It's top of mind. It is new customers, but almost everybody in Denver, unless they're just moved here, already knows about American Furniture Warehouse. He says you should spend 3% of your budget. If you're making $1 billion a year in revenue, 3% is a good chunk, $30 million. I think as a small business owner, we have to spend a little more than 3% of our revenue on marketing. I just think the lesson to be learned here is that even if you have a lot of traffic, you have to advertise. If you have no traffic, you really have to advertise. You can't get away from it. You have to get traffic to your website if you want to get leads from your website. Then once you get in there, you have to give them a very clear path. You have to tell them exactly what to do. If you give them too many options, if you don't give them good directions, then they're just going to leave or run into the sign. So you don't want to do that. So that's the second one, and I already talked about that quite a bit. So now I'm going to talk about what good websites do, how good websites are set up to convert visitors and traffic into paying customers. The first one is a company called Harvest. Anybody heard of Harvest? This is a time tracking tool. I really like this because it's so clean. There's no clutter. It's very singularly focused. Everything on this page is driving you to try Harvest for free. All of the content, and there's more content below. Each one talks about a feature. It's lots of white space. It's very clean. Everything in there is trying to drive you to try Harvest free. This is a freemium business model. You can use it free for basic stuff, then you have to start paying. This is a really clean design. I like that. Jolene Moody, I interviewed on my podcast. She's a very successful entrepreneur. She used to be a news anchor back east somewhere. I like her website too. She has a video actually of herself talking. This is I think a 13-minute video. It's educational. She's giving away a ton of value on her homepage. So when people come in, they can immediately learn what she knows and gauge her credibility. She also has some pictures of her skydiving and speaking in front of crowds to build her credibility. And then she has a very clear call to action. Try or get your free 6-figure action plan with the opt-in box right on the homepage. When people come here, if they like what they see, they're going to opt in, and she's going to capture that information. This is another one I like. It makes me feel like I should go like this. This is a landing page. This is a page designed specifically for conversions. And it's very clean, very simple. The opt-in box is right on there. And one thing I really like about this one that you guys can employ on your website is this exclusivity, the feeling of exclusivity. Like, do I qualify? Fill out this form and see if you qualify to be graced by my presence. That's kind of what they're saying. This can work for any of you. You know, I don't take all the clients that come to me. I only take the ones that are really serious. I take the best ones. You have to meet these qualifications to be my client, and it makes them want to be your client even more. Right, Sandy?
Yes.
You call.
It's one of the things I learned from Sandy's coaching. And then once you have, the goal of all this is mainly to capture email addresses. It's a lot easier to capture an email and then to sell after you've got them in your marketing funnel. So once you have their email address, then you got to monetize the list, and that goes way beyond what I have time to talk about today. So if you want more information on that, we'll have to talk after or some other time. Because right now I want to get into the last point. Delegate. How many people have an assistant? Awesome. I love you guys.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. Is it virtual? A virtual assistant or local?
Local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who has a virtual assistant? A few people. Delegation is the key to removing the ceiling from your growth and your potential in your business. You can't do it all yourself. And I hear all kinds of reasons why I can't delegate. I don't have any money, it's too expensive. It's too hard to find good help. I don't want to spend the time to train the person. All of these excuses are just excuses, and I don't buy any of them because I'm going to explain why here in just a second. It's easy to find cheap labor, especially virtual assistants or software development. If you need, a website built, you can get a website built. I had one built for $150. It was like a 3-page website, and it's done in India, I think. You can get cheap labor all over the world, and they do great work. I have a hardcore developer in Indonesia. He writes the best code I've ever seen. And I've managed software development teams before. Teams of developers. This guy writes better code than all of them. He has a computer science degree, he comments everything, and he charges a fraction of the price that if I went here to hire a programmer with his skill set, I'd be paying 4 times more for it. It's unfortunate, it really is. But, it is what it is.
Sorry. I always say that.
I know. Now she gave me a new filler word.
It is what it is.
She gave me a new filler, now I have to remove that. Elance, Odesk, and Guru.com. You guys familiar with these? Elance is where I get most of my talent. I love Elance. Their system works great. You can find really good talent. One key to Elance, I'm going to give you a little secret that I've learned. You can post your project as a private listing. If you post it as a public listing, which is the default, they hide the private listing option. The public listing, you'll get 100 or more bids for your project, and 95% of them will not be qualified to do whatever job you posted. And you'll spend tons of time filtering through all of these bids that are not even qualified. So post it as a private listing. There's a little link at the bottom that says like advanced settings or something. You click that and you get the option to change it to private, and then you just select, I recommend 10. So go through, after you click next, they'll give you a list of developers that kind of meet, that do the things that you've selected the project. So if you want a WordPress site, they'll show you WordPress developers. And you go through and I pick 10 that have good reviews from multiple clients. And you can invite them. You click a button that says invite. That way usually you'll get 7. If you invite 10, you'll get 7, because some of them aren't working right now or they're overbooked or whatever. So you'll get 7 bids. It's a lot easier to filter through 7 qualified bids than it is to filter through 95 unqualified bids and to find the 5 good ones. So that's a little trick, you guys. Anybody use 99 Designs or Design Crowd? You guys familiar with crowdsourcing? Yeah, this is, you post a project like a logo, like I want my logo designed, or I want a new banner ad designed. You post it on these websites and you offer a prize. So usually it's it depends on what you do, it's usually like $250 to $500. And you'll get designs from like maybe 60 different designers around the world. You'll get hundreds of designs, comps of your logo, and you choose the winner, and one person wins your prize. So that's what crowdsourcing is. You get all kinds of ideas from all kinds of people, and you only have to pay one of them. So I love these 2 websites. I've used both of these. They're both good. Fiverr, everybody use Fiverr? You can get anything on Fiverr. Who has not heard of Fiverr? or used it. Who hasn't used it? If you need a boyfriend this weekend to pretend that he's a boyfriend on Facebook, you can get that on Fiverr.
Okay.
You can get anything on Fiverr. You can get fake girlfriends, fake boyfriends. You can get logos designed. You can get videos produced. It's literally anything you want
Like a
done.
Craigslist?
It kind of is. It only costs $5. Craigslist is another one. So if you don't find your love on Fiverr, you can you go to Craigslist. The difference with Craigslist is that if you hire somebody overseas, and Craigslist has different country websites for each of the different countries around the world, so you can go find talent on Craigslist, like at Craigslist.ph for the Philippines. The problem there is then you got to deal with paying them through PayPal or wiring money. Some of them don't even have PayPal, so you have to wire money. And I recommend using Elance if you just have a little project to do. The key is to not try and do everything yourself. If you're going to run in a relay, are you going to run by yourself instead of having your four? How many people are in a relay? Four? Five? Four. Yeah. So you're going to have your 3 partners. You're going to try and do it all yourself. If you try and do it all yourself, then you're going to end up like this woman laying out. You're not going to win. You got to have teammates. You have to have people to help you if you want to win the race, and that means you have to pass the baton. And I have an assistant, or had. She's leaving me sadly. She met the love of her life, and now she has no time to be my assistant. So I'm looking for a new assistant. But when I started delegating, here's what I did. When I made the decision. I'll talk about my podcast, because the podcast takes a lot of time to produce and publish. So I decided I was going to have my assistant publish the podcast, which takes about an hour, and at the time I was doing 2 a week, so that's 2 hours a week that I was going to outsource. I spent about 3 hours when I made this decision documenting the process, and then I created a checklist for her so that she knew exactly what to do to publish the podcast. It's been, I think she's published about 30 of the podcasts since I had her start doing this. So how many hours does that save me? 30 hours. That saved me. I spent 3 hours documenting the process, and it saved me 30 hours of my time that I was then used to create a YouTube video. I started doing YouTube videos, and then I had her publish those, and then I started blogging, and I had her publish those, and each time I outsourced something to her, it freed up more time for me to do something else. So you got to embrace delegation. That's huge. Who loves to delegate? Once you start doing it, it's an addiction. It really is. I look at everything. Like, can I delegate that? The dog needs to be walked. Can I delegate that? And then you walk the dog. Yeah. So that's what. Once you start doing it, you really get addicted to it. So let's do a quick review here. The 5 tips to energize your new business. Monetize it, plan for success, get help, use your website as it's intended to be used, and then delegate everything that you can possibly delegate. Here, I want to, this is a little video I want to show you. It's inspirational. One of my heroes, Steve Jobs.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
He was taken from us way too soon. We are the crazy ones, guys. All of us in this room. We're the crazy ones he's talking about, right? How many people, when you said you were going to start your own business, how many of you had family members, friends say or think you were crazy?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we're the crazy ones. We do what they're afraid to do. So even if you're scared or terrified of failing, or you're afraid your business isn't going to succeed, these are normal emotions that we all have when we start a business and when we run a business. I'm going to end this with a story about my childhood. This is me fishing. I grew up in a small Kansas farm town. I actually grew up outside of it on a lake in the middle of Kansas. And this, I think I was about maybe 6 in this picture. When this picture, around this time, this is when Jobs and Woz were launching Apple Computer Company in Silicon Valley. It's about the same time. It's also the time where I had a party line at my house. You guys know what a party line is? We had to share the phone with 2 of our neighbors. So if you wanted to make a phone call, you'd have to pick up and ask your neighbors politely to hang up so you could make a phone call. That's how far away I was from the land of technology. If somebody told me back then that someday you're going to grow up and sell a technology company, I'd probably ask, what is a technology company? I had no idea what it was back then. So about the time this picture was taken in 1976, when I was sharing my phone with the neighbors, it's the exact same time Woz and Jobs were doing this, and I sold my company to a company located just a few miles from where this picture was taken in Silicon Valley. My point with all this is that if I can do it, anybody can. That's a lesson to be learned here. If I grow up in a technology void and I can sell a tech company, anybody can be successful at whatever they set their mind to do. Being an entrepreneur, it's like riding a roller coaster, isn't it? It's like one day you get a sale, you're on top of the world. The next day a client decides they don't feel like paying you, and you're like the bottom of the roller coaster. It is. It's a roller coaster ride, but you know what? People love roller coasters. We love them, right? It's fun. The ride is fun, whether it's up or down. It sucks when you're down, but you know it's going to come back up. And it's just a lot of fun. You have to enjoy the journey. And we're the crazy ones. We have to enjoy that. We have to be the ones in the front there because everybody else is following us. So get out there. Take action and make your dreams come true. All right? All right, now I'm going to introduce Susan because Susan has some very valuable information to share about Social Buzz Network. For those of you who are not already members, I'm a member of Social Buzz Network, and I can't speak highly enough of it. Raise your hand if you're a member. Yeah, we've got a lot of them in here. It's a great group of people. It really, like Steve says, they really are my friends. And I know Steve thinks that a lot. He says that all the time. It's like my big group of friends. And it really is. I can't speak highly enough about what Susan has created over the last 3 years with Social Buzz Network. And I'm going to let her talk about it, but listen to her and consider joining the rest of the family.
Nice introduction. I thought he was going to introduce me when he was talking about the crazy people.
Yeah, you are crazy.
And then I thought he was going to introduce Jason when he was talking about the roller coaster, because Jason's been on the roller coaster ride with me for the past 3 years. So I appreciate everybody being here today. For those of you that want more information, come see me after, just to explain a little bit about Social Buzz Network. I always say that we're different than your everyday leads group. We're more than just an average networking group because we actually provide marketing and education solutions for your business. So this piece is the education piece, and it's going to continue on every 4th Thursday of the month. And we're really going to just focus on education and opportunities that could grow your business that you need. We have our leads group on steroids down at the Tech Center in June 3rd. It's going to be moved to Garcia's off of Syracuse and Bellevue from 11:30 to 1. That's changed because we outgrew the space. So our leads group on steroids, it's a little bit different concept because it's not exclusive, but we love referrals and leads. So we also have the one in Parker every Thursday, except for the 4th Thursday of the month, of course. And of course, Doug goes to that one. That one is growing. We're looking for more members. If you're in Parker or in that area, we'd love to see you guys out there. It's an extension of our family, really. So we're here, and we also offer socials throughout Denver. So every second Tuesday of the month, we have socials at different venues. This one, June 10th, is going to be at Chinook Tavern off of Fiddler's Green. It's from 6 to 8, and that's really where you can let your hair down, bring your business cards, talk to people, get to know them a little bit better. We have our social media training, which is going to be June 20th. And so Holly Claire is the social media advisor, and she oversees all our social media, so she kind of put the social back in our buzz there. I think social media is so important. If you're not, with it, then you need to get with it, because it's grown. It's how I've grown Social Buzz Network. It's really how I built it. And I took over the Denver Entrepreneurs Meetup in June of 2011, and we only had 400 members. We have close to 1,200 now. So that's fantastic. It's a great opportunity for you guys to get in front of your potential customers, clients. This Social Buzz Network is a way to get to know, like, and trust each other, to do business with one another. So it's an opportunity to really help you grow, think outside the box. It's a way to, when you're stuck, you have mentors, resources here for you. I got some help from Doug, because he's the why guy, and I finally figured out my why. Of course, it's my children. So, and my family, my husband back there. My family is my why, you know.
Oh, by the way.
No, I forgot. So it is my family, and I really want them to shine. And I love people. I want them to, be happy, successful adults. And that's what I. Yeah.
Operative word is adult.
Sometimes, yeah. So, I really want that for everyone else too. I really feel like I want you to shine as business owners. You have resources here that can help you be, happy, healthy, successful business owners. And this is a really good platform that you can use. Take advantage of. We are a little bit different, and we're proud of it. So if you want to be a member of our group, it's as little as $35 a month or $365 a year. If you want more exposure, like Steve likes that exposure, he pays a little bit more to be on the banner that we're, of course, going to revise now. Pastor Tate, they pay more to be on that banner. So it gives you a little bit more exposure. You're on all our print advertising, most of our print advertising. So we really kind of get your brand out there, and I think it's really important. So again, if you want more information, I'll pass these out too, because these are marketing. This is our directory that we have. We also have a directory on our website that's really cool, because if you click on our directory, it lists all our members, and then it gives you an area where you have a description of what you do, contact information. If you want to leave a review or a testimonial, then you can actually do that. That gets picked up by Google, and so it's really kind of cool.